let's see how that axle's positioned under the Jeep. Is it sticking out to the side one way or the other? Let's line up the back with the front of that fender well. Once you got those lined up right there, we can look down here and see how much of the wheel is extending out past the flare. So you see that? We only got like an inch or so coming out of that one. Let's take a look at the other side. Let's look at this side. We're going to do the same thing. Let's line up the front and the back of that flare with each other. When we see it's there, okay, we're good. Let's look down here. You think we have an issue here? All right, we've got about 5 inches sticking out on this side. Now, you know what's interesting about this? When we looked up there on that alignment screen, that thrust angle showed us it was off 0.3 of a degree. It didn't say anything about this axle sticking out to one side 6 inches. We need to physically look at how the body's relationship with this axle is. And the only way we can do it is to look and make these measurements ourselves. So let's just grab that upper control arm. It's triangulated under here. So as we move this arm, I'll just kind of sight down it myself. We can just watch that come out. We'll just scoot this tire under there and get it into position so that we're somewhere close so that we can take a look at the rest of our angles. All right, while we're making this adjustment, I like to just sight down the tire and see where it's going. But as I'm turning this arm, I can feel it start to tighten up. If it starts to get hard to turn, that's telling me that that upper arm is starting to bind in that triangulation. We need to go to the other side and make an adjustment on the other side. So let's take a look at where we're at, front and rear, sight down the tire. We see what we've got there. Let's go to the other side and see. Okay, we've sighted down the other side. We'll do the same thing here again, front to rear, look down the tire. That one was still out about an inch over this one. So let's take a hold of this upper control arm on this side and make the same adjustment. We'll just move it, and it freed it up and makes it move easily. And we should be about square. Let's sight down both sides and make sure we're there. See how much we have there, and we'll go around to the other side. Now, as when we sighted down that other side, we saw that that was lined up right with the tread in the tire. So as we sight down this one, what do we have? Still out just a little bit. So let's just take a hold of that arm and bring it in until that lines it up. That should just about do it. That should line us up pretty good with both sides. That axle should be centered under the Jeep pretty well. All right, we've made our adjustments back there, just trying to get the axle centered under the Jeep. Let's take a look at the alignment specs and see what it did for us. If we look at our thrust angle, it's 0.1. We're almost there. It almost brought it right into specs just by eyeballing it and looking back there and getting that axle squared underneath it. So we've got one angle out of the way. We've got 2 left to do. We'll get that pinion angle straight, and we'll get those axles front to back centered in the Jeep. All right, we've looked at our screen up there so that we know that our thrust angle was good and we know that our axle was centered under the vehicle. So we're going to see if we can take care of this pinion angle. As you can see, this differential isn't pointing anywhere near straight with that axle. That needs to be corrected or it will destroy this U-joint. So let's go ahead and move the lower control arms this time. We can just shorten and lengthen these by twisting on them, and we'll just bring that pinion up. So let's wind this up a bit. When that starts getting pretty close, then we'll step outside and take a look at the drive line from the outside. We don't necessarily have to measure this. We can just eyeball it, and it's going to give us a real good idea of if that drive line and pinion are lined up right. Anytime you have a CV drive line, you can go ahead and line them up directly with each other. All right, let's step outside and see what that looks like. All right, we've made our adjustments and got it pretty close. If we sight down here, we can see that the pinion is just about parallel with that drive line. It's almost a straight line with it. We're down just a little bit, and we really want it down a little just to compensate for any pinion lift that will happen if we accelerate hard, drop the clutch or whatever, that pinion will come up. So that'll give us a little bit for it to come up. The drive line will be straight. We shouldn't have any drive line vibrations, and our U-joint should have some good long life. One thing that we need to be aware of on a long arm system, this arm is actually angled down. So as the wheel travels up and we go to a full stuff position, if you think of it as the arc of a circle, it's kind of down low. As it gets up to this point, it's going to be the maximum radius of that circle. So this wheel is actually going to go back as it travels up. So when we're setting our distances here, just be aware that that is going to travel back is what's going to happen as it flexes. The other thing we need to watch on TJs is when we're going to full stuff and that axle's traveling back, that differential housing comes right up against the gas tank in them. So we need to make sure that if it has a track bar still, that track bar isn't making contact with the gas tank. So it's kind of a fine line. We want to have all of the wheelbase we can get, but we don't want it to be hitting everything. We looked at the screen before and we saw that our thrust angle was really looking good. We were able to get that thrust angle almost dead on just by getting that axle squared underneath the body. So that took care of a lot of the readings there. If you've got an alignment machine that will allow you to measure the vehicle dimensions, is what they usually call it, we can click onto that screen and it'll give us the wheelbase, track width, and also the diagonals on it. So if we look at this, our setback and our wheel width, that'll tell us if our axles are square with each other or if they're cocked, side to side. And if we look at this one, we've got 0 and 91 inches, 91.7 on both sides. It's just dead on. Those axles just are square with each other. That makes us happy. Track width, that's just the width of the axles. We don't need to worry about that too much. And then our diagonals here, that actually measures to see how square the axles are with the frame. It still doesn't tell us what the body's doing, but we already took care of that. Everything does look really good on this. The only thing that I could see that we may want to take a look at is this wheelbase number. He's got 91.7 inches of wheelbase. And that's not bad, but you can squeeze a little more out of a TJ. And as we've talked about, everybody wants more wheelbase. So that's what we're going to go for. Just looked at how the differential is coming back to the gas tank back here, and we're getting pretty close. We've got to go maybe an inch that we can go back with it. So we'll go ahead and make some adjustments with our lower arms to start with, and then we'll just follow it with the upper arms. What we're going to do is just bring everything straight back and try to keep all our angles the same because we got them looking pretty good on the screen. Little tip I like to do, we've got these jam nuts on each one of the arms. I usually like to just run them up just so they're just making contact. It just makes it so that I don't turn one the wrong direction and then have to go, oh shoot, how far off was that? So it's just a simple little thing to keep you turning the right direction. So, all right, we'll go that way. Just run this back a couple, 5 turns on those. Then we're going to do the same thing with the upper ones. We're going to run those out back so we can roll the axle back and bring our pinion back up where it needs to be. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at it, and if our angle still looks about the same, we can actually just watch the screen from back here where we have live readings with this machine. It's a marvel. So we can just, so we get them all at 0 there. We've matched on 15 toe on both sides and 0 on our thrust angle. Cannot ask for anything nicer than that.